My name is Rachel. I'm 30 years old. I live in Boston, work in corporate marketing, and on paper, my life looks pretty solid. But here's the truth no one sees. I've spent my entire life being the responsible one, the peacemaker, the one who never said no, the one who paid the bill again, the one who showed up again, the one who got left out but stayed silent. In my family, I wasn't the loud one. I wasn't the rebel. I wasn't the dreamer who just hasn't found their path yet. That was my brother Kevin. I wasn't the sensitive soul who's still discovering her purpose. That was my younger sister Megan. I was the glue. I was the one who held things together while quietly falling apart. I was the golden daughter. But here's what they don't tell you about being golden. It means you shine for others. It means you hold your tongue when your brother takes your car for 6 months and returns it with a broken transmission. It means you smile when your sister borrows your rent money for the 5th time and then goes on a yoga retreat. It means you understand when your parents ask you to cover a plumbing bill that never actually existed. They called me golden, but golden didn't mean precious. It meant useful, predictable, convenient. From the outside, we were that classic American family. White picket fence, Cape Cod summers, matching pajamas on Christmas morning. People used to say, "You're so lucky, Rachel. Your family's so close." But what they didn't see, what I didn't even want to admit, was that closeness came with a price tag. Love in my house was something you earned by giving more than you ever got. And I gave until I had nothing left. And even then, they asked for more. Have you ever felt like you were the only one trying in a relationship that's supposed to be equal? That question haunted me. Because once I let myself really look, I saw it everywhere. Little moments, little patterns, things that didn't feel wrong at the time, but never felt right either. Like my birthdays. Every year, I baked cakes, bought thoughtful gifts, threw surprise parties for my siblings and my parents. But my own birthday, it was either forgotten or rushed. There was one year my mom called me at 10 p.m. to say, "Oh no, today's the 23rd. Happy birthday, honey." I laughed it off. Said it was fine. Pretended it didn't hurt. Or the year Kevin handed me a sealed envelope. I thought it was a card. It was a coupon for a free appetizer at a chain restaurant. Megan once gave me a scarf, one I knew I had bought her the Christmas before. And yet, I still showed up, still gave, still hoped. Because that's what you do for family, right? But with each forgotten candle, with each recycled gift, a seed of doubt started to grow inside me. What if they loved what I did, but not who I was? What if I wasn't valued, just useful? It started with a phone call that felt off. "Hey, sweetie," my mom said, a little too cheerful. "I was thinking, maybe don't come early this year for Christmas. You've been so busy. Just come on Christmas Eve morning, like everyone else." That stopped me cold. Every year, I showed up early to help her prep. Cooking, cleaning, setting up the table. She always insisted she couldn't do it without me. It had become our thing, our ritual. But this year, she didn't need me. "Are you sure?" I asked, hesitant. "I can come Thursday instead of Friday. It's not a big deal." No, she said quickly. "It's fine. We've got church activities and your father's got a project. Just come later, okay?" Her voice sounded tight, like she was trying to rush off the call. I hung up, confused, but trying not to overthink. Then I called Kevin. "Hey, when are you heading to Mom and Dad's?" He hesitated. Probably Christmas Eve, same as always." "Want a carpool?" "Nah," he said, a little too fast. "I've got stuff to pick up last minute. Don't want to hold you up." I tried Megan next. She said she might go early or late, hadn't decided. When I pointed out she lived in the opposite direction from our parents, she changed the subject. It was subtle, but something was off, like they were all in on something, and I wasn't. A few days before Christmas, I had a rare free afternoon. Work meetings had wrapped early, and for once, I wasn't drowning in emails. So I thought, why not surprise my parents with some homemade cookies? I pulled into their driveway just after 3 p.m. As I got out of the car, I saw my dad, who clearly wasn't expecting me, rushing to close the garage door. For a split second before it slammed shut, I saw them. Suitcases, multiple, neatly lined up. "Dad," I called, trying to act casual. He turned, forcing a wide smile. "Rachel, what a surprise. Your mother's not home right now." "Oh," I said, trying not to sound suspicious. "Everything okay?" "Just fine," he said quickly, cleaning out the attic. Old suitcases, we're donating them to the church drive. Something didn't add up. The garage was spotless, the house was spotless, and my mom, who usually left holiday prep until the last minute, had somehow finished everything. Inside the table was already set with the good china. There was a faint scent of cinnamon, like she'd already started baking. Then I saw it. On the coffee table, half covered by a stack of magazines, was a travel brochure. Paradise Found Luxury Resorts in the Bahamas. I didn't say anything. Not yet. As I turned to leave, I heard my dad on the phone. She just stopped by unexpectedly. No, I don't think she suspects anything. That night, curled up on the couch, I told Marcus everything. He looked at me gently but serious. "Rachel, are you sure they're not hiding something from you?" And for the first time, I wasn't sure at all. Christmas Eve, the night I had waited for. The night I thought would change everything. Marcus and I arrived at my parents' house, arms full of gifts, a bottle of champagne tucked under my coat. I'd imagined this moment a dozen times. The smiles, the hugs, my mother's tears of joy when I showed her the ring. But what I got was something else entirely. My mom greeted us at the door with a bright, rehearsed smile. "Rachel, you look tired, honey. Been working too hard again?" My dad clapped Marcus on the back. "Beer, whiskey." Kevin and Megan were already there, both on their phones, barely looked up. I told myself it was just nerves, that once we opened gifts and made the announcement, things would shift. But they didn't. When I handed out the carefully wrapped presents I'd poured my heart and budget into, the responses were lukewarm at best. Megan glanced at the camera I'd gotten her. "Oh, this looks expensive." "That's the one you said you loved," I said softly. "The landscape one." She gave a polite nod and set it aside. Kevin muttered, "Cool, thanks," barely registering the headphones I'd chosen based on his constant complaints about noise. My parents smiled at the new coffee machine I'd bought them, but there was a flicker in their eyes, something guilty, something off. Then it was our turn. Marcus gave me a gentle nudge, and I stood. "Everyone," I said, voice just a little shaky, "we have something to share." All eyes turned to me. My heart jumped. Here it is, I thought. This is the moment they'll remember forever. We're engaged. I held out my hand, showing the ring, a vintage sapphire. There was silence. Too long. Then, "Congratulations," my mom said, standing to hug me. "Yeah, that's great," my dad added, shaking Marcus's hand. Kevin raised his mug. "Cool, congrats." Megan forced a smile. "The ring's pretty." No cheers, no clapping. No one asked how he proposed. No one said "finally" or "let me see the ring again." No one even opened the champagne. Marcus leaned over and whispered, "Are you okay?" And I lied. I smiled and said, "Of course." But inside, my heart had already started to break. Later that night, as people moved into the kitchen to prep dinner, Megan stood up and said, "Oh shoot, I left my phone on the couch. Rachel, can you grab it for me?" "Sure," I replied, still trying to hold on to the Christmas spirit. Her phone was right where she said it was. But just as I picked it up, a notification lit up the screen. Bahamas group chat, final reminder, don't forget passports and sunscreen. I froze. I didn't mean to read it, but the words were right there. Blazing, brutal. Passports, sunscreen, Bahamas, a vacation. I swiped before I could stop myself, and there it was, a group chat that included my parents, Kevin, Megan, Aunt Patty, Uncle Bill, my cousins, everyone. Everyone who had been at Christmas dinner, except Marcus and me. I scrolled through the thread, heart racing. Flights booked, resort info shared, dinner reservations, excursions, matching shirts. They'd been planning this for months. And one message from my mother. Remember, not a word to Rachel. She's always busy with work anyway. No need to make her feel left out. Another from Kevin. She'd probably say no anyway. Too many deadlines. And Megan, plus she'd bring Marcus. And this is supposed to be just family. Just family. The words hit like a punch to the gut. I stood there, phone in hand, shaking. My chest tight. My ears ringing. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't speak. They had lied. All of them. And I wasn't family? Not unless they needed money. I waited until everyone had gathered back in the living room. My hands were cold, my chest tight, but my voice clear. I need to ask something, I said, standing in front of the tree that just an hour ago felt magical and now looked fake. How long have you all been planning this trip? Everyone went quiet. I looked straight at my mother. July? I asked. That's what Aunt Patty said in the chat. Her face went pale. Who paid for it? I continued. Flights, resort, excursions? Who paid? No answer. Because I have a guess. And it's probably the same person who helped with plumbing bills, who loaned rent money for the third time, who contributed to Kevin's business equipment. Kevin cleared his throat. Come on, Rach. No, I snapped. Answer me. Who paid for this trip? Kevin looked away. Was it the same $3,000 you borrowed in September? I asked him. Was that for this? He didn't answer, but his silence screamed louder than any words. I turned to Megan. And you, the $850 I sent when you said your hours got cut, was that so you could buy a new bikini and go to a beach I wasn't even invited to? She flinched. Then Kevin muttered, You're always busy anyway. With work, deadlines, you probably wouldn't have come. I stared at him. And even if I wanted to come, I asked, even if I moved things around, you didn't even give me the choice. He shrugged. You've got Marcus now. You're not alone. You're taken care of. The room spun. Taken care of? I'm not asking for charity, I said, voice shaking. I'm asking for honesty, respect, a little basic human decency. I looked around. You all planned a family trip without one member of the family, and that member also happened to fund parts of it. I paused. So tell me again, who am I in this family? No one answered. Not one person could say. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I didn't plan to do this tonight, I said, hands trembling. But since we're being honest, I unfolded the sheet. The numbers were printed clearly, underlined, documented. 73,428, I said. That's how much I've given this family over the past 8 years. Rent bailouts, emergencies, business loans, tuition, spa days disguised as depression relief. Everyone stared. Kevin scoffed. Are you seriously keeping tabs now? Tab? I laughed dryly. It's not a tab, Kevin. It's a record. A wake-up call. And tonight, this Christmas Eve, it ends. You've changed, Megan snapped. No, I said calmly. I just finally woke up. Mom stood up, voice sharp. You'll regret leaving like this on Christmas, Rachel. I turned to her. No, Mom, I said. What I regret is mistaking duty for love. Mistaking being useful for being valued. The room went quiet. I'm done being the emotional punching bag. I'm done being the family bank. I'm done being the silent, reliable middle child. I picked up my coat. Marcus walked to my side. I'm leaving, I said, voice steady. And this time I won't be the one coming back to fix what's broken. I opened the door. No one followed. The next morning, Rachel sat in silence on the edge of the bed. Her phone buzzed once, then again. Instagram notifications. She opened the app. There it was, the betrayal in full color. Kevin and Megan smiling in matching floral shirts, Mom holding a glass of pina colada with a tiny umbrella. A group selfie the family on a boat. Caption, Sunshine Family and Peace, #Bahamas Bliss. Rachel stared. Every smile in those pictures felt like a punch to the gut. They hadn't just left her behind, they were celebrating, like she'd never existed. She dropped the phone, face trembling. Her shoulders curled in like she was trying to disappear. Marcus walked in quietly, knelt beside her. "Hey," he whispered, "don't let this break you." She looked at him, eyes red. "I gave them everything," she said. "Time, money, years of putting them first." "I know," he replied, gently taking her hands, "but now it's time to give something back to yourself." She didn't answer, just nodded once, because even if her heart was shattered, somewhere inside, a new boundary had just been born. Rachel didn't go to work that Monday. Instead, she sat by the window, the blinds drawn halfway, her phone screen glowing. The texts were pouring in. "You think you're better than us now?" Kevin, "Mom cries every night because of you." Megan, "After all we've done for you?" Rachel stared at the screen. For a moment, the old guilt tried to crawl back in. That familiar voice in her head whispered, "Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I should call." But then she heard another voice, a new one, Dr. Barrett's voice from their first therapy session just days before. "Guilt," he said, "is often used to control people who've been too generous for too long." She had nodded through tears then. Now she inhaled deeply. No replies, no explanations. She wasn't the same Rachel anymore, the one who folded at every emotional plea, the one who apologized just to keep the peace. She was finally learning. Love doesn't require you to be emotionally blackmailed. Family doesn't mean forfeiting yourself. And as she turned her phone off for the first time in years, Rachel took one step closer to being free. "Come for dinner," the message said. No apology, no explanation, just 3 words. Rachel hesitated for days. Marcus warned her, "They're not ready to take responsibility. Don't let them drag you back." But something inside her needed closure. Not forgiveness, clarity. So she went. Dinner was already set. The same dining room, same mismatched plates, same fake laughter echoing off the walls. But this time, Rachel came prepared. She pulled out a slim folder from her bag, placed it right in the center of the table. Inside, a detailed breakdown of every dollar she had given in the last 8 years. Mortgage bailouts, tuition help, plane tickets, groceries, medical bills, even the cash gifts she gave on holidays when everyone else forgot. The total, $73,428.16. The room went silent. Rachel looked up, her voice calm but cutting. "You didn't just forget me. You used me. And I wanted you to see in numbers what that cost me." Kevin scoffed, arms crossed. "So what now? You want it all back?" Rachel smiled, but it wasn't warm. "No, I just wanted to make it crystal clear that the bank is closed, permanently." The silence at the dinner table felt like a vacuum. Kevin stopped chewing. Megan blinked twice. And Rachel? She didn't flinch. "The Rachel Bank is officially closed," she said, her voice steady, her eyes locked on her mother. It was the kind of sentence that didn't need to be loud. It carried the weight of years. Her mother's fork hit the plate with a soft clink. "You've changed," she whispered. "Is it Marcus? Has he turned you cold?" Rachel leaned in just slightly, her tone calm, almost too calm. "No, Marcus didn't change me. Pain did. Years of being ignored, used, and gaslit woke me up." She looked around the room. Same faces, same people who once cried on her shoulder, borrowed her money, and then booked a vacation behind her back. She took a breath. Not to yell, but to breathe herself back into the moment. "I'm not doing this out of anger. I'm doing this because I finally realized loving you shouldn't mean losing me." Kevin muttered something, but no one listened. Megan stood up, walked out, and Rachel, she stayed seated, unshaken. For once, they were the ones who had to squirm. And she was finally free. No fake smiles, no whispered judgments, no Rachel sitting alone on the couch wondering why she wasn't enough. This Christmas was different. Rachel's new apartment was small but warm. A string of fairy lights curled around the window. A slow jazz version of Silent Night played from a vintage speaker. The kitchen smelled of cinnamon and cocoa. Laughter filled the air. Real laughter. Marcus popped open the champagne. Her coworkers, her college roommate, her neighbor from 3B all gathered with goofy sweaters and sparkling eyes. And Rachel, she stood in the center holding a glass of wine, watching people who didn't share her blood, but who shared her values, her respect, her joy. To found families, Marcus said, raising his glass, to the people we choose and the ones who choose us. Rachel smiled. Not the tired smile she wore for years, but a real, wide, glowing smile. Because for the first time in decades, she didn't feel responsible. She felt free. She was no longer the giver who was drained. She was surrounded by people who poured back into her. Family, she finally understood, wasn't about DNA. It was about mutual care, mutual truth, and mutual love. And this Christmas, it wasn't the loneliest one she feared. It was the happiest one she never saw coming. Rachel stood at the window that night, the city lights blinking gently below. She took a sip of tea. No noise, no drama, no guilt trip waiting in the next room. I didn't lose my family, she whispered to herself. I just stopped bleeding to belong. She didn't hate them, not anymore. She just let go. Let go of the version of herself that always said yes. Let go of the guilt that wasn't hers to carry. Let go of the need to earn love through sacrifice. Because for the first time in 30 years, Rachel chose Rachel, and that choice changed everything. Real love doesn't demand you shrink. It doesn't guilt you for setting boundaries. It doesn't come with terms and conditions. Her journey wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming her worth. So if someone ever told you that saying no makes you selfish, look them in the eye and smile, because saying no might be the first time you're saying yes to yourself. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight behind closed doors, with the people we call family. But remember, being the strong one doesn't mean you owe everyone your strength. Being kind doesn't mean you must be used. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to walk away, not out of hate, but out of love for yourself. And most of all, you don't need permission to choose yourself. If Rachel's story moved you, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, or if you're just beginning to reclaim your voice, subscribe to this channel, because here we tell stories that speak for the unheard. New stories every week, raw, real, and unforgettable. Don't just scroll past. Hit that bell, stay seen, stay heard.